Everybody. This is Anthony from LI Tech Advisors. I'm the CEO. And today's talk is going to be on AI guided business growth and success tips with Nine High. Today is David Moratzka, and he will be talking about his processes and how he integrates AI into allowing businesses to save a lot of money. It's not just a few dollars here and there, but we're talking major funds, and he's got some major clients that are taking advantage of his software and process. It's not just software; it's also an entire process. So, to that, Dave, can you introduce yourself a bit there?
Absolutely, sure. So, hi everybody. My name is Dave Moroska. I am President and CEO of AI Strategy, is the name of the company, and the platform is called Nine High. So, Nine High is a human AI collaborative platform. Okay, and there's kind of a lot of new and exciting stuff that we've done within the platform that is very different than what a lot of people are doing today. Even with all these things that where people are using ChatGPT, and there's a lot of co-pilots now that you see in Microsoft. Those are all good and capable to help you along the way. But the big difference of what we have is we have a comprehensive project management platform. Think of it as a guidance system. So traditionally, project management, when you're trying to manage, say, an investment, or you're looking at new technologies and bringing it in, you typically manage it through a project. And the big difference there is that traditional projects manage schedule and resources, versus Nine High actually manages risks and success. So it's a very different concept. The patent office actually came back and said that there's no prior art for what we've built out. So think about Nine High first as a guidance system that's going to help you with any kind of risks you have in front of you for your business along the way. And being that guidance system, what we do, just like when you're using Waze or a software system in your car and you're going from point A to point B, what we're going to do is we're going to actually establish where you are with your company, or with the technology that you're developing, or with your supply chain, and where they are with risks and things of trying to supply to you. We establish where you are and your objectives of where you want to go. And then we help to in that project management guidance system, we're going to map out the risks that are in front of you, and then how to burn down those risks effectively, efficiency, low cost, and in a way that will very likely make you successful along the way. So that's what it is. It fundamentally was based on something very, very unusual that maybe some people are not familiar with. But we've been funded by the U.S. Defense Department to build this, and it's available right now in the commercial cloud, and everybody can use it for commercial applications, for whatever they want. And we can help you with links to get there and see that. But the thing to understand is that it was really built for some of the toughest problems that the DoD faces, and the biggest problem that they've had for decades in the DoD when they're developing new technologies is that they literally have a 90% failure rate when they're developing new technologies for new applications. All the things that they invest into and trying to get it out to the warfighter, they fail 90% of the time. So, and because they're taking on tough challenges at the same time. So we built this to solve some of those toughest problems that exist. And now, if anything, we do detune it a little bit more for business applications and for the risks that are in front of them along the way. But Anthony has a nice screen here where he's sharing the fundamentals of what Nine High is we do look at, we have 9 core metrics. Again, it's a guidance system. So we have these metrics are what's going to guide you from where you are with your present state to where you want to get to. And it's a quantified scoring system to do that along the way. And we did identify the risks and success factors that get you there. And then what Anthony's showing you now is that we're going to be bringing in a lot of different data that's secure and that you can rely on. One, Anthony is also a very big fan of Microsoft, so everything we've built out is completely with Microsoft and the Azure cloud, and it has their security ratings and everything else that goes along with it. So you can use it confidently, and you can also know that, like we said here, with the way we've built this, because it's very unique, because we break things into nine components. We're never, when we're asking for AI assistance, we're only talking about one of those 9 pieces of the puzzle at a time. So you're never going to be taking sensitive intellectual property that you have, or sensitive information, and you're not going to have that leak back out to the public through their GPT models. And they're really not going to be able to learn so much from you in your private setting. You'll be learning much more from the public recommendations from GPT modeling that they provide to you. So that's probably a big takeaway here. But yeah, Nine High can be used, like Anthony has here, for selection, investment, and development of technologies. Really, any kind of business risk that you have whatsoever. And it's about really making people smarter. So again, it's human AI learning, okay? And the HI of Nine Hive, the actual platform name itself, HI stands for human intelligence. This is about you having your human team be smarter and make better decisions and being more successful along the way. Yes, there's a lot of AI that will probably replace jobs over time, and people do need to be concerned about that. We're not trying to do that in the least. We're going to make your organization more efficient with the people that you have by getting them to do a lot more things and do them smarter along the way and be more successful. That's how we want to grow with Nine High. So it's human in the loop. So you don't have to worry about AI coming in and making bad recommendations and hallucinations and things and having it ruin your business along the way, because it's making recommendations to your leadership team or your engineers or your business people, whoever are facing those risks along the way. We're going to be providing that kind of information to them as decision guidance so that they can understand, they can make, we believe that 99% of the time when people are presented with the right information and they have to make a choice, when they're given the right information about which choice is better, they'll choose the right one because it becomes very obvious for them. And we do want to make this very obvious. It's a scored system, so you can see which options are better than others along the way. How's that so far, Anthony?
No, that's great. I love this because I mean, because I was at an AI conference that was telling us that 80% of everything we know is about the change. All right,
Right,
80% of all the processes and everything we get involved with on a day-to-day basis is about the change.
right,
And it's only the 20% core. And you're already embracing this. And I see that, even from I have clients that, for example, are manufacturers. I can
right.
see that can benefit from this. I have construction companies that can benefit from this, on the commercial side, definitely on the DoD side. I mean, being an engineer myself and working in the defense industry years ago, there's a lot of inefficiencies there, and this could actually pull all together resources. But give an example on a manufacturing, like I'm manufacturing,
Sure.
an item which might even have for example, might be even getting FDA approvals sometimes on some drugs and so on, because I'm creating packaging and I'm packaging drugs and so on, and
Correct. Right,
I need
right.
to basically go on it. And as far as from what I understand is that you're able not only to um, you know pull the resources together, the staff. I have maybe 20 staff here with all different expertise, and
Sure.
one of my challenges always is like what people should be put in what roles, and what who's the best really to serve to make this the most efficient. And then I have vendor selections, I have equipment, products, and so on I need to
And your vendors
purchase.
have a lot of expertise that you may not be leveraging right away, and
Mhm.
you can do that with Nine High. Absolutely. So leveraging. So let me follow up on that example, right?
Mhm.
So say you're doing some packaging for a pharmaceutical application, and you want to have diverse expertise. The first engagement that your team will have with one of our AI agents is what you see in front of you is Orion. Okay. So what Orion's going to start to do right away from the very beginning, you don't even necessarily have to be talking about a technology solution. You can just be talking about a need or a problem that you're trying to solve on the application side of things, right? So Nine High very neatly breaks things into product, technology, team of stakeholders, and market application, because then we start to organize really all the information you ever need to be successful along the way by doing that. And the very first thing Orion's going to do with your team is, one, your team's been profiled already in the platform. So we get to understand the people on your team and their expertise, again, for the product technology, their expertise in the team stakeholders, which is processes, manufacturing processes, whether it be personnel, financial evaluations, anything to do with your company itself, and then the applications you're going into. So if you're developing packaging for a medical application versus something that'd be sold in Home Depot, for example, or something for the DoD, those application needs for that packaging will be incredibly different. So once we start to link up and say, okay, it's a medical application, and you're trying to develop packaging for it, the very first engagement you have with our system is with Orion, who's looking at now, do you even have the subject matter expertise on your team that will even be able to understand what the risks are in front of it for taking that packaging to that medical application? And because we're profiling your people and we're profiling the project and we're making those recommendations. If you don't have those recommendations, then one, the AI assistance, is there to supplement what your team doesn't have. But two is we'll be pointing to, this is human collaboration, first of all. This is something that we built specifically for the DoD because they're terrible at it. You can have people in the Army and Navy not knowing what each other is doing, even though they're trying to solve the same problem simultaneously, right? So here in this case, you could actually be inviting in consultants. You can be inviting in the free consultants, which are called your suppliers, your potential vendors. They'll be trying to impress you. So if you can get their technical expertise to come in and, vet, say, the recommendations that they're making, that they want to, of different materials and things that they want to put into the packaging along the way, you can use Nine High to help vet those risks and those success factors of things that they're going to be contributing. So you bring them right into your team in the beginning before you even, cut a purchase order to them or anything else. Start tapping into that expertise, tap into other industry associations. We want to have that whole U.S. industrial base. Even though it's for our primary objective now is for the DoD, this is absolutely to be used in all different industries. So that it's about bringing people together, first of all, because lots of times it is free information. And then we also have our AI agents pulling just very good things specific to your project from the open AI feed that we have with Microsoft directly to your application in a way that's very targeted for the problem set that you have.
That's amazing because I'm thinking too. It's not just about like, I mean, risk management is important, but the success of the effort you're trying to do. I mean, because without this, I could see that failure rate, like you said, could be 90%. I'll never
Yeah,
get to where I need to go because I don't
yeah,
have things in place. It might be something at the end that's a gotcha. I forgot all about it, and it's like going to affect the entire project. And again, this is not just about saving money. It's about becoming successful in your effort of trying to accomplish the task at hand.
that's correct.
So
That's correct.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
again, looking at this from another point of view, like even like I said, this in construction. I mean, in accounting,
Sure.
in anything that has staff that needs. I deal with schools, for example, too. They have compliances they need to deal with. They picking the right person to become a data security officer, a compliance officer. Because there's different expertise. I ended up having to do it manually and say, okay, I think you might be best. This would
Yep.
actually have given me, based the criteria of the staff, it given me the answer, which
It's
based on
and it's going to
things
give
I
you
didn't
something
even
to
see.
back up
Mhm.
your decisions also along the way. So if you have to answer to like the president of the company, or the president has to answer to stockholders, usually somebody has to answer to somebody. You can have backup within Nine High about the justification of why you made certain decisions along the way. So and even to your team, or to communicate that to your team, or to collaborate with the team to have other options along the way. That's what this is about, is having that backup for those decisions that you're making along the way and understanding why, right? A big part of so like people are using OpenAI now, and you get information that comes back, and sometimes you don't know where it came from, or what basis it used in order to make those recommendations to you in the first place. Well, that's why in Nine High we actually have a very layered approach, and that when we use OpenAI and we love it because it really helps to supplement, but it's actually the third level. We have two levels of data that we use first that are validated much more within from the system itself. Okay, from the people on your team is actually the first layer, the human subject matter experts that you have, and because they're going to actually come up with typically a good 75 to 80% of all the things that you need to really be concerned about in a project to be successful. But it's that last 25% that they didn't anticipate, they didn't bring up because they don't have quite all the skill sets, or there's something that can happen they weren't aware of. It's that 25% that's going to bite you and cause what I call derailing a project, or failure, or lack of you meeting your objectives, which is what we define as success along the way. That first layer is strictly coming from the human subject matter experts. And then I've been developing this, believe it or not, since 1999. So I've been using this on spreadsheets. I've been using it to run businesses. I used to run a division for North and South America for a $3 billion Japanese company, and that's where this came from originally. Is back in 1999. It was concept. It was in spreadsheets, but I've been collecting data as far as failure modes, as far as risks, as far as good things to do, those success factors, those things you want to do in place in order to control those things. And I've done it relative to technologies and to markets, because I knew at some point, somewhere down the road, I'd be putting this together more as a system for other people. And so I've been collecting that for 20 years, and we have that as a vetted database. That's the second layer of data and availability we have that come free when you sign up for the platform. And we recognize that even with the natural language processing and everything we do with that vetted data that we have, it's still going to be limited to the experiences of what I've been using or what other people have been using on the platform. So that's where the OpenAI comes into it. And that's where we supercharge. We have that really making, and it's not trying to make a perfect recommendation. So you have to be careful of certain engines that if it can't find the right answer, that's when it tends to hallucinate and it's going to start making things up. And you don't want that. So we actually, the way we structure this is is very simplistic, and we use some very interesting ways of sending information, that the request out through OpenAI and coming back in a way that we've never seen a single hallucination with the way that we manage the system along the way. But we do have that because what it's going to actually give you, it's not going to try and give you the one perfect answer. It's going to give you like the top 10 list of additional risks that you haven't thought about yet. They're not in your choices, and that you probably should, because it's based on other experience coming through for those risks or those success factors, good things you're going to do, the evidence that you're going to have to show that you've driven the maturity of your particular project forward. So, and then the last version we have is actually something where people who are watching this would probably work more with Anthony's company directly. So Anthony, his group, and I would work together with you for the fourth type of data that we have, which is more for the medium to large size companies, where we would then point our AI agents, instead of out through the open AI source, we could also point them to your data if you have significant data along the way. And we would do an integration, because your data related to your customers, your products and technologies, your organization, your marketplace is richer for what you've been working on. So why not point our AI agents to your data and have it only be used by you and your team along the way? That way, all those investments that you've made into growing a lot of knowledge and intelligence along the way, bring it to bear, use it. And our AI agents will be pushing that. It's almost like a training system, if you think about it that way. All the information that you've collected over the last few years or 10 years or whatever it might be is valuable, yet the people, the employees of your company, don't know it's there or don't know how to access it or can't make it relevant necessarily. So that's where Anthony's team and my team can work together to do an integration with your database to pull that out and push it right to employees that need it and when they need it. They're not going to be inundated with all sorts of things, because we've defined the specific project and problem that they have and what they're addressing, and we're going to be pushing that to them from your rich data along the way. So that's the really exciting part that we'd love to get into with Anthony's group.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that always comes up is that, I have a lot of, like, clients' data is some of it has a lot of IP in there. Okay. And
Yeah,
there's always that
absolutely. Sure.
concern about, I do not want that touching a deep learning engine, so I
Well,
understand that you have the protections in place for this.
yeah, there's a difference. That's what we talk about right here, is that there's the second point under these 5 AI agents we show here is no IP leakage back to the public GPT models. That's a fancy way of saying that we're not going to let your secrets out. And because the large language models would reside on your databases. Okay, they're not going to be going out through public internet. You can actually fire. So what we're going to be doing with the government, I can't talk too much about that because there's sensitivities and everything, but there's firewalls, and Anthony can explain much better than I
Mhm.
can how firewalls work and how you have divides in sectors between different types of data along the way. And that's why we would be working with experts such as Anthony's group in order to engage with an integration like this, where those large language models are solely resident on your drives with your data, so that you can control the fact that it doesn't get out to anybody else.
Oh, absolutely. This is great. Now, how would somebody, take the first steps with your company? Like, what's the
Sure.
process?
Yeah, sure. So, literally, if you contact me or Anthony along the way, and Anthony could put you in touch with me, but I'm sure we'll provide my email address here, or you go to our website, which is NINE-HI, 9 high, but you spell it out, .com. And you can see there's a lot of information on there. There's a for people who really like the deep dive, there's a 15-page white paper that literally the chief information security officer of the entire DoD made me write. And I was very happy to do it, but it's like a 15-page white paper that really talks about how all this stuff works along the way and puts it all together. There's a short little executive summary on there also. I really recommend that, because that talks about all the different use cases and everything that we have. But we can simply get you onboarded. What will you do is, you probably want a core team of, say, 4 or 5 people from your company that would come in. Before we start doing this bigger integration thing that we mentioned that we can do with your data, we want to get you walking and running walking before you run along the way. So we'll get you onboarded with the core team of, say, 4 or 5 people that want to work on a project. We'll work alongside them until they're successful along the way. We have staff that can help get them onboarded, get them set up to run a project within 9 high, and understand all the settings that we have in place in order to protect, even before we get into your database, anything that they may be putting that's sensitive along the way. So we would onboard you, and we can do that in a matter of a day or two very easily, and you can be up and running using 9 high in basically a day or two. It's very low cost. So initially, all we charge is $599 per seat per year, and that's unlimited usage. So if say you have the same core 4 or 5 people working on innovative projects in your company, they just sign up once for the year and they can run 20 different, 30 different projects if they want to. Use as many AI inquiries as they want, through it. And so as we mature as a company, we might need to change that model a little bit. And if we start getting significant costs that way, we might have to look at that. But right now, that's what we're doing. And so it's low cost, so you can come in and start using it and get your team to be more successful in engaging with NineHigh.
That sounds great. Dave, it was a pleasure having you today. This was really eye-opening, and love your process. As far as next steps here, what we're going to do is share out this information on our social media, and
Sure.
and I definitely would be contacting my clients about how this can save them money and so on. So again, thank you
Absolutely. Sure.
again for the time today.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is great. And again, folks, Anthony's fantastic. He's worked in a lot of the circles that I have, and he's a very solid, high quality guy. And we love both to support your business. Thank you so much for the time.